everyone, welcome to Legacy IAS. In this video, we will be seeing percentage questions from CSAT 2024. So there were again 3 questions from percentage chapter in 2024. We'll see all of them. Let's get started. Yeah, this is the first question. You can pause and try. What it says? It says P salary is 20% more than Q salary, which is 20% lower than R salary. By how much percentage is R salary more than P salary? Now, one thing you need to remember always, that if the question tells you everything in percentage and is also asking in percentage, okay, if the question, most of the data that is given here is in percentage and eventually you are being asked in percentage only, correct? You are being asked in percentage only. What you can do is you can always assume it to be of any value, okay? Their assumption works. If in one question we'll see just after this that some data will be given to you, like P salary is, let's say, given to be 10,242. Now, if something like this is given and then eventually you are asked, let's say, salary of Q, and the options are 9,000, 8,000, 7,000. Now, this is a question based on whole numbers. There you will have to calculate properly. But if the question gives you data in percentage and also asks you only in percentage, you don't need any kind of data. You can assume it to be any number. Usually we assume it to be 100,000 like this. Okay, now let's get started. So what it says, P salary is 20%. P salary is 20% lower than Q salary. Okay, so PQR, then which is 20% lower than R salary. Okay, first thing you can do in questions like this is P salary is 20% lower than Q salary. 20% lower than Q, that means Q is greater than P. This is fine. P salary is 20% lower than Q's salary also. Next is which is 20% lower than R's salary. Now this Q is actually 20% lower than R salary, correct? What it says, P salary is 20% lower than Q salary, which is 20% lower than R salary. So once you get this order, then you can start from any end. Now the entire question is based on this R. Okay, once you get R, then you can get Q from it, and then you get Q, you can get P from it. Okay, now once you do this, so let us assume that R is equals to 100. Now if R is 100, Q is what? Q is 20% lower than R salary, so Q will be 20% lower. 20% lower of 100, that means 80. So Q will be 80. Now if Q is 80, P is again 20% lower than Q salary, correct? Again 20% lower. Now 20% of this will be what? Or 20% lower, how you will make it? 80 into, you decrease this by 20%. How do you decrease? You write 100, you multiply it by 100 plus minus percentage change by 100. Now you have to decrease it by 20%, that means minus. So this becomes 100 minus 20 gives you 80 by 100. How many times this will go? 0 0 and 0 0 cancel out. 2 zeros cancel out. What you get is 64. That means P salary is 64. That's it. You got the 3 values. Only percentage you need. Now what it asks, how much percentage is R salary more than P salary? See, whatever comes after than P salary becomes your base. That is, you are finding the percentage more or less based on P salary. So this, whatever comes after that, becomes your denominator. So this will become your denominator, P salary. What you will get above is percent is R salary more than P. That is difference between these two. What is the difference between these two? Difference between these two is, here you will take difference and multiplication by 100. This is what you need to find. Now, what is the difference between them? 100 and 64. Difference is 36. Now, upon what you will take? Upon you will take P's salary, that is 64 into 100. That's it. Now, how many times this will go? This will go 9 times by 4 and this will go 16 times by 4. So, what you get is 900 by 16. How many times this will go? This will go 5 times, correct? 16 5s are 80. 10 will remain. With 100, how many times this will go? This will go 6 times, correct? 56. And what will remain? Point something something. Point something something percent. 56 point something percent. So answer becomes B, 56.25%. Understood? This is how you have to do questions like this. Simple. Okay. Let's move further. Then, yeah, another question. See, it says a number is mistakenly divided by 4 instead of multiplying by 4. What is the percentage change in the result due to this mistake? Now, do you see that this number is not defined? What is that number? We don't know. We just know that instead of being multiplied by 4, it was divided by 4. This only we know. Correct. Now, you are asked about percentage change. From this, what you can get? You can assume it to be any number initially. After that, you will see. So, let's say at the start, the number was, let's say, 100. Now, originally or correctly, what he had to do, he should have multiplied it by 4. So let's multiply this by 4. What you get? 100 into 4, 400. This is the correct number. This should have been recorded. Correct? The number should have been multiplied by 4. Now, instead what you did? You divided it by 4. You divided it by 4. So 100 divided by 4 gives you what? 100. Now this, 100 divided by 4 gives you what? Gives you 25. This is the incorrect number. Correct? 100 was the initial number. You had to multiply it with 4. You would have gotten 400. But instead you divided it by 4. So you got 25. This was the incorrect number. Now it is asked, what is the percentage change in the result due to this mistake? Now, whenever you are calculating error percent or anything like this, it is always correct minus incorrect upon correct into 100. That is, you always calculate error in terms of what would have been the correct value. Correct? Because that becomes your base. From that you see how much wrong you have done. Correct? Now this you can remember. So correct minus incorrect upon correct. Let's do this. Correct is what? 400. Incorrect is what? 25 upon what you take? Correct number, whatever was there. So 400 was correct into 100. Now two zeros cancel out. This becomes what? 400 minus 25 is 375 by 4. 375 by 4 will be equal to what? How many times this will go? This will go 9 times. Then 1 will remain. With 15, it will go 5. With 15, sorry. With 15, see, this was 9 times 36. Then 1 will remain. With 15, this will go 3 times. Correct? 12 is a correct. Then what will remain? 3 will remain. With 30, it will go 7 times. 2 will remain. With 20, it will go 5 times. So 93.75%. This is what you will get. Also, just by seeing 375 by 4, you know that 400 by 4 is 100. 375 is just little less. So it will be around 90%. So you could have marked it directly. Understood? Easy? Then. Yeah, this is the next question. What it says, a person buys 3 articles PQR for 3300 rupees. If P costs 25% more than R and R costs 20% more than Q, then what is the cost of P? Now, do you see this question is different? Here, the exact whole number price of all 3 of them combined is given. Also, you are asked cost of P, nothing in percentage. Correct? You can see the options also. So here you cannot assume it to be any number. Okay, of course you can and do some manipulations and get to the answer, but the thing is you don't assume it to be anything. Now how do you do questions like this? You do it very simply. See, you know, these are your numbers P, Q, R. Now it is written that P costs 25% more than R and R costs 20% more than Q. Now that means P and R are given in terms of some other quantity. Correct? P is given in terms of R, R is given in terms of Q. So Q is the independent quantity that you have. Correct? Q is the independent quantity that you have. So you assume Q to be exactly same, that is Q. Now R will be what? R costs 20% more than Q. 20% more than Q will be 20% more will be 1.2 Q. Correct? Because 20% more will be written as Q into 120 by 100. Correct? Increase by 20%. So this is actually 1.2 Q. This is fine. Now P is what? P costs 25% more than R. P cost 25% more than R. So 25% more than R is 125 by 100. Correct? So this becomes 1.25 R. This is correct. But we cannot let it be in terms of R. Let's make this in terms of Q. So P is equals to 1.25. Instead of R, what I'll write is the value in terms of Q. That is 1.2 Q. Now 1.25 into 1.2, 12 5s are 60 and you will get 1.50 Q. So P comes out to be 1.50 Q. This you write down here. So this becomes 1.50 Q. Understood? Once you get all these three values, what you have to do is simply see what they are adding to. Okay, then let's add all three of them. So what you will get? 1.50, this. So I had to write that P plus Q plus R is equals to 3330. Now instead of P and R, I'll write that in terms of Q. So this becomes 1.5 Q plus 1.2 Q plus Q. 1.5 plus 1.2 is 2.7. 2.7 plus 1 is 3.7. So I get 3.7 Q is equals to 3330. Correct? I multiply both sides by 10. What I'll get is 33300 by 37. Correct? Now 37 is a prime number in itself. But if you see this carefully, 333, what this seems like? Doesn't this seem like 370 minus 37 gives you what? 3, and this also becomes 6 minus 3, 33. That means this is actually 37 nines are. 37 nines are is 333. So this will go one time, this will go 9 times. This 333 will go 9 times and you'll have 2 zeros. So Q came out to be 900. Now if Q is 900, what is asked? The cost of P. P will be what? P will be 1.5 times of this. 1.5 times means what? 900 into 1.5. 15 nines are 135. So 1350. This becomes your answer. Understood? 1350 becomes your answer. Okay, so this is how you do questions like this. When percentages is fine. When the question asks you whole numbers and also gives you some whole numbers, then you need to calculate in terms of variables. Of course, you can take a ratio, this, that, all that is fine. Otherwise, simply doing it using equation is good enough. That's it. These were the three questions. Thank you.